Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a Discord bot where your users can assign themselves roles by calling a command. So in a future video, I'll probably show you how to do assign commands based on reactions. So your bot like posts a message, and then when someone reacts to it with like a certain emoji, then they're assigned a role. But for now, we're just going to do commands. So the two things you'll need are Visual Studio Code, download and install that, and Node.js. And make sure you get Visual Studio Code and not regular Visual Studio. There's a big difference. So once you have that installed, the next thing you're going to want to do is set up your bot real quick. So you're going to go to the Discord website. Under Developers, click on the Developer Portal. And under Applications, you're going to create a new application. You can just name it whatever you want. And applications can do a lot of different things. There's a lot of things in here that you probably won't ever touch, but we're only going to use ours to make a bot. So you can just put in the name here, upload a photo here if you would like. But this right here is essentially the token is your bot's password. So you don't want other people to be able to see this because then they can log in with your bot and do whatever they want on the servers that your bot's on. So if that happens, you can click regenerate and then it gives you a new code here. Okay, so the last thing we need to do here is add it to our server. So come over to the OAuth 2 page, come down here, and you're just going to click bot here under scopes. These are other things your application can do, but we're just making a bot. And you can click individual things if you want. So for example, if you're going to add it to someone else's server, they probably don't want you to be able to do everything. But since this is just a test and we're just adding it to our server, I'm going to click administrator, which is everything. Then you copy this link and paste it in a new tab and actually add it to your server. So that my dev server set up, and I authorize it and say that I'm not a bot. And I find traffic lights. And if we go back to our server, you can see the bot is now in our server. It is offline, but that's because we haven't connected to our bot from the code yet. But we'll do that next. So before you close this window, go ahead and come back here and go to your bot and make sure you copy your token because you will need that to get the bot running. Alright, we are ready to code. Open up Visual Studio Code, and actually let's create a folder. I'm going to make mine on the desktop, but you can make it anywhere you want. Just going to call it Discord bot. And then in Visual Studio Code, just open folder. And on the desktop, it's my Discord bot folder. So the first thing we're going to want to do is initialize our Node.js project. So Node.js is normally JavaScript only runs in your browser, but Node.js allows you to run it on your computer just as a program and write whatever you want. So we're going to go to View Terminal, and that's going to open up a command prompt where we can run our bot and install any libraries we need and also initialize our project. So let's type npm init and just hit enter through all these options and the defaults. There we go. And once we get back to this, then you know that you're done. So that's going to create a package.json file, and you can open it up and see. Most of it's just stuff you don't need to worry about, but here the main file is going to be index.js. So we actually need to create that file. So we're going to create new, and then I'm going to click save, type index.js. And now we can start writing code. So I'm just going to type console.log hello world. And one thing you need to remember is anytime you make a change to the bot or just to your code, you need to save it before you can run it. So you can come up to File and click Save, or there's a shortcut, Control S, which I use a lot. So always save before you open or before you run your bot, or else it won't work. So if I just hit Control S, this little dot will go away, and that means it's saved, and now I can run the code. So the way we're going to do that is just type node and then a period, and that will run. The period just means current folder. And so that'll like look in the package.json and it'll say, oh, index.js. And then it'll run the code in index.js, which will just print out hello world. And just to demonstrate, I'm going to change this to YouTube and see if I have that little dot there. That means I haven't saved it. So if I run the code again, it's just still going to say hello world. So I need to come up here, Control S to save it. And now it says hello YouTube. It's a small thing, but catches a lot of people. Okay, so the last thing we need to set up before we actually have our bot ready is the Discord library. So in order to set that up, we just have to type npm install discord.js -- save. And that is going to download the Discord library and set it up in this node modules folder. Don't worry about that. If you delete it, it won't work anymore, so don't delete it. But now it's ready to go. So to load that Discord library into a code, you type discord equals require discord.js. So here at the top of the code is where we're going to include all the libraries that we need to use. And then down below is where we will use those libraries to, do our stuff, make our bot. So we're going to start out by just making the bot. So this is the bot variable, and it's going to be a Discord, I don't know what that is, discord.client. And we're going to tell the bot to log in. That is the crucial thing. And when we tell it to log in, we have to give it that token. I need to copy it again. Here we go. Click copy. Paste it in there. Sweet. And we could run it now and it would show up, but I'm just going to do one more thing. Bot.on message. Okay, so this is like a mouthful. It's a lot of like parentheses and curly brackets, and there's an equals and like a greater than sign right there. So let me break this down real quick. I'm going to remove this and put this here. This is actually not valid code. This will error, but I'm just doing this to demonstrate. So right here we are registering an event. That's what this on is. Bot on. So you read it like bot on message. So this is saying when the bot receives a message, we're going to do something. And right here is where we're going to put what we're going to do. Action. So you can do any action when any event happens. So this is actually where you specify the event. And I think we can actually see the events. Yeah, here we go. So like when a channel is created, or when a guild member is added, when someone starts typing, all these things are events that we can subscribe to, but we're just going to look for when messages happen. So the action, that's what this bad boy right here is. So these curly braces, whenever you see those, there's an open one and a closed one, and there's going to be code in between, and that means the stuff between there is going to happen as a result of the action, or as a result of the event, but that is what the action is. And this just kind of specifies what's being delivered in. So this is kind of like a little arrow. So the message is being delivered into the action. And the message will just contain information about the channel it was sent in, the guild, who sent it, stuff like that. So I'm just going to copy this back into here. Just double check you have all the parentheses and curly braces in the right place. And then we'll move on. So when the bot receives a message, we're going to check the message. If message content, message.content, that's going to be what they said. If that is hello, so if they said hello, then we're going to reply to the message and say world. So just a slightly more advanced hello world example. Okay, so we've typed all this code, and let's see if it works. So I'm going to move this to this side and this to this side. So over here, I'm going to run the bot. And then over here, you're going to see the bot will come online. Sweet. So the bot is now running and it's now online. So if I do the command we just made, hello, it'll say world. Now, one more thing to note is you remember we said we have to save every time before we run the bot for it to work. So now that we have this Discord stuff in here, once we run the code, it's going to continue running until we stop it. So if we just come over here, let's say we want to change it so when I say hello, it says hello to you too. You might think, oh, I can just come over here and say hello. Oh, it still says world. Well, I saved it, but it's not working. So what we have to do is come down to the terminal and hit Control-C, and that will quit. And then you can type node period again. And then it will be refreshed. And then when we type hello, it will have the updated code. So you have to save it, Control-C to quit, and then run it again, and then it'll be updated. Once you get that like in your muscle memory, it'll be second nature, but just remember to do that each time if you have a problem with it not updating. Okay, so we are like 75% there. All we have to do now is assign roles. So what we're going to do is first we have to figure out what the computer thinks the roles are. So if I was telling you to add this role to somebody, I'd say, hey, add the red role to somebody, and you would know what I mean. But the computer doesn't see this as red role. There's like a string of letters and numbers in the background that the computer sees this as. So in order to tell the computer to add it to somebody, we have to figure out what that is. So that's not that difficult. We're going to hijack this hello command. Instead of saying hello to you too, when they say the hello command, we're going to print out all the roles down here, print out all the roles and the numbers and letters that the computer thinks they are. And you just have to do this once to figure them out, and then we're going to copy those values into our code so that way we don't have to worry about that anymore. So when they say hello, we're going to print down here, and the thing that we're going to print is the message. From the message, we're going to get the guild. So this is the guild that the message was sent in. And then we're going to get the roles for that guild. So we're just going to print all those roles down here. Pretty simple. So save, quit, run. And now we can type hello, and then bam, we got a bunch of crap over here. So most of this you don't have to worry about. You're just looking for the role name. So blue role is right here. And then right next to that should be the ID for that role. So just this value right here. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to put that in here. So blue role equals this. And we could just copy and paste this number everywhere we're thinking about the blue role. But these numbers are so confusing that it makes it a lot easier to give them names, and then we can just use the name and say, oh yeah, that's the blue role instead of what 61317. It's much easier. Red role is going to be something, and then green role is going to be something, and we just have to find those. Oh, here we go. Green role and the red role. There we go. So in the beginning of these numbers is pretty similar too, and so it'd be like so hard to memorize those. Okay, so now that we know what the computer sees these roles are, and we've assigned them to variables so we can say the blue role, and then the computer sees this, now we're on the same page with the computer basically. So we're just going to make 3 commands to assign the blue role, the red role, and the green role. So role blue, and I'm going to paste that twice and say, actually let's do red, green, and blue. Else. So if the role is red, Then we will say, let's see, message dot member. So the message member, that's the person who sent the message. So we're going to take them and add role. And because right now they just did the roll red command, we're going to say red role. And we'll do the same thing for green. Message.member.add role green role. And message.member.add role blue role. And make sure these line up, so blue goes with blue, green, green, and red. So you add the right role when they do the right command. So that should be it. Gonna save it, come down here, end it, restart it. And if I type roll red, oh, we get an error. So this error says, Discord API error, missing permissions. So that means that our bot doesn't have the permission to do that. So we're going to come in our server and go to the roles and check this out. So we have our blue, green, and red roles, and then we have quote. So this is our bot role. This actually needs to be above the other roles that we're going to be giving out. So you can't give out roles that are higher than you as a bot. So I'll just do that, save it, and now we are in business. Red role works. We're going to do green. And we're also going to do blue. There we go. So if this is all you wanted your bot to do, then we could just stop right here. Like it works. We don't need to change it at all. But in order to make it easier to add commands in the future, we're going to make a small change here. So you notice we have to type out roll red, roll green, and roll blue. Like these are separate commands. It'd be nice if there was just one roll command, and then it would check what the second part was, if it was red, green, or blue, and based on that, it would give out the roll. So the first thing we need to change is up here. Instead of checking the whole message content and saying like, oh, if this is the whole thing they typed, we just want to look at the first part of the message content. And actually we want to just divide up the message content into all of its parts. So this would be the first part, and then this would be the second part, and then there could be like as many parts as they want. So in order to do that, you say const parts equals message.content.split, and we're going to split it by the spaces. So I'm going to delete this for a second just to demonstrate. Console.log parts. So now there's no conditions. When we get a message or when the bot receives a message, it's going to split it into parts and then print those parts just so we can see what they look like. Restart it. So I'm just going to demonstrate and type roll green. So now it's being divided into two parts, the roll command and then the parameter or the setting, if you will, is green. So that's much better. So now we can look at this first part and say, okay, we're doing the roll command. All right, now what color do they want for their roll? Green. And now we're going to get to something a little confusing. This is probably one of the most confusing things about programming, and it's the fact that okay, so we have these items in our parts, right? And we want to access the first item, which would be this. So when you access an item, it looks like this. You have little brackets, and then inside the brackets, you put the number of the item that you want. So you'd think you put in a 1, and you get the first item, right? But parts 1 is actually going to be green right here. So if I type roll green, the number 1 part is green. If we want roll out of that, that's actually 0. So numbers in programming start at 0 when you have a list. It's really weird, but you'll get used to it eventually, and you'll see that it works. So if parts 0 equals roll, then we know that we're assigning a role. So now we just, inside here, we can just check what role we need to assign. So we do that, we check parts 1, which 1 is actually the second item, which is going to be green, or it could be red or blue. So if the second item accessed by parts 1 equals red, then we're going to do the thing where we message.member.add role red role. And so if you have trouble remembering about the number thing, just think about which item you want. So right here we're checking the second item and then subtract 1. So that turns 2 into 1. We'll do the same thing if parts 1 equals green. Message.member.add role green role. And I'm just going to copy and paste that for blue. And in that case, we will add the blue role. There we go. So now we have our code back to, it works exactly the same, but it's going to be a lot easier to do more advanced commands in the future because we have it divided into parts. So I'm just going to restart just to demonstrate no roles. Role red gives me the red role. Role green gives me the green role. And blue also gives me the blue role. Alright, well that's it for this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. If this helped you, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like. All the links will be down in the description, as well as this code if you want to download it and mess around with it yourself. And if you have any suggestions or anything that you want to know how to code a bot to do, please leave it in the comments. I know a lot of people want to make a music bot, and so that's definitely on the list of future things to do. Thanks for watching.